Okay, so there's a huge myth that goes around most Christian communities talking about it. Is it okay to be rich? Is it okay to want to have money? Is it okay to want to not be poor? Is that okay? To, as a Christian, is it okay to be successful and make a lot of money and be rich? Well, we're going to go ahead and talk about that in today's video. And spoiler alert, it's all right. Okay, as a matter of fact, it's actually a byproduct of what God of being a follower of God is. It's actually a byproduct of being a faithful follower of God, depending on what your lifestyle is or depending on what God is going to have you do in your life. So let's go ahead and hop on into that. This is day 11 of the Process of Starting Over podcast. I really hope you guys are enjoying it so far. We're going to talk about being rich as a follower of God. Is it okay? Spoiler alert, yes. And let's go ahead and hop on into it. So let's go ahead and talk about the first part where where riches are mentioned in the Bible. As a matter of fact, not even the first part where riches is mentioned in the Bible. Let's go and talk about gold, because gold is our main currency, air quote, because our paper in our wallet is actually supposed to be a representation of gold, you know? So let's go ahead and talk about that. So the first time gold in the Bible is mentioned in Genesis chapter 2. I know it's mentioned early, isn't it? Yeah, kind of crazy stuff. So God's talking about life in God's garden. He's talking about all this amazing stuff that's in the Garden of Eden. You know, this is like before the fall of man. This is before humankind sinned. Okay, so gold is first mentioned in chapter 2, verse 11 and 12. And it says this. He's talking about all these places that are in the Garden of Eden and all these things that are in the Garden of Eden. He says, the name of the first is Fission. He's talking about these two rivers these 4 riverheads. He's talking about these 4 riverheads that parted and went out of Eden. So we're talking about that. He says the name of the first is Fission. It is the one which skirts the whole land of Havilah. Holy moly, these names are difficult, but I'm going. Okay, where there is gold, and the gold of that land is good. And so we're pausing right there. We're not going to read the rest of the verse. He talks about other stones, about onyx and all these other types of things, and he's talking about these other rivers and stuff. But he says, first of all, I want to focus on the part where he says there's gold there. There's gold in the Garden of Eden. What do they need gold for? They're not spending any of it. They're not going to use it on anything like that. But gold was just there. And then God continues to say that the gold of the land is good. He says the gold is good. Crazy, right? Okay, so obviously gold overall is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It was in the Garden of Eden. So obviously its original use was not meant to trade and barter. However, that's what it's used for now. So let's go ahead and talk about that in a time where gold and precious stones were used to barter, which is actually, surprisingly, not that far out. In Genesis chapter 13, verse 2, it talks about Abram. And Abram was obviously a follower of God, and he did all these amazing things, right, for God. And he was called to go have a son named Isaac, who was going to be like the father of all these tribes. He was going to be the carekeeper of his descendants and all these amazing things, you know? So let's go ahead and hop onto this. He says Abram was, he actually first keeps on talking. He says, then Abram went up from Egypt, and he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot was with him, to the south. Then he continues and says, Abram was very rich in livestock, silver, and gold. So he's talking about silver and gold, and this is the first time when rich is compared with gold. So he's saying that if you're rich in livestock, silver, and gold. That is what being rich is mentioned. That's the first time rich is mentioned in the concept of being rich, you know? And he compares it with gold, silver, and livestock. He keeps it locked into those 3 things. That's what being rich looks like. So God's people was rich, and he doesn't call that a sin either. So let's go ahead and take some other parts of the Bible. Like, I'm going to mention some other people. You guys can do your own research on this about some other people in the Bible that were rich, about God's people. But the people that I've listed right here are Isaac, Joseph, David, and Solomon. And all those people were rich. As a matter of fact, among David was called a man after God's own heart. Can't remember if that was Daniel or David. It was Daniel or David. Either way, I'll fact check that afterward. You can ask me in the comments and I'll actually know. But nonetheless, David was an extreme follower of God, and Solomon was the wisest out of all these different people, given he made his mistakes. But being rich was not one of them. As a matter of fact, God said it was a blessing when he gave Solomon his riches. He said, since you asked for wisdom, I'm going to give you wisdom and riches. So obviously, riches is a blessing from God. It's a good thing. And actually, to add on to that, in Proverbs chapter 22, I actually have it marked. Wait, no, not chapter 22, my bad. Proverbs chapter 10, verse 22. There we go. He says, the blessing of the Lord makes one rich, and he adds no sorrow to it. So not only the fact that it's a blessing of the Lord, but sorrow doesn't come with richness. So sorrow comes from something else when we're rich, and then we have other problems when we're rich. It actually comes from our own human understanding and our own lack of, just our own lack of whatever is in our lives. It has nothing to do with being rich. Actually, being rich is a blessing from God. So, and he says that he brings no sorrow with it. So if it's truly from God, there's no sorrow that goes along with being rich. Awesome stuff there, okay? And then there's one more thing that I want to bring up. So there's actually a bad person that I want to bring up. This is the king of Tyre inside of Ezekiel chapter 28. He's talking about bringing, he's talking about destroying him. You know, in Ezekiel and Jeremiah, they are basically the prophets that are sent to basically say, hey, you guys did all these wrong things, and so now you guys are going to get punished. Okay, and he's talking about this guy. He's talking about the king of Tyre. But interestingly enough, even though he is called rich, and even though he is called wise, those two things are not things that he is shamed for. He's actually almost commended for it when you look at this. But he's not commended for the wrongdoings that he had. So being wise and being rich was not a bad thing here. So let's go ahead and read it. It says in Ezekiel chapter 28, he's talking about the son of Tyre. He says, because your heart is lifted up and you say, I am God. I sit in the seat of gods in the midst of the seas, yet you are a man and not a God, though you set your heart as a heart of God. Then in parentheses, he continues and says, behold, you are wiser than Daniel. Bro, Daniel was pretty wise, okay? And so now he's saying he's wiser than Daniel, okay? Which means wisdom is a good thing because Daniel had wisdom as well, and so did Solomon. He continues, there is no secret that can be hidden from you. Oh my gosh, this man was so wise that no secret can be hidden from him. That's amazing wisdom right there. With your wisdom and your understanding, you have gained riches for yourself and gathered gold and silver into your treasuries. Again, gold and silver being brought together with riches. You know, those are conjoined terms. Then he continues, by your great wisdom and trade, you have increased your riches, and your heart is lifted up because of your riches. So the last part is where the problem lies in. He says your heart is lifted up because of your riches. So once we start lifting up ourselves because of how rich we are, or once we start bringing up our entire being because of how rich we are, and we make that the love of our life, and we make that the thing that we're following and endeavoring in our life, that's when the problem comes in. Sorry, I'm still a little bit congested, still a little bit sick. So skipping up to verse 17 of Ezekiel 28, he says, your heart was lifted up because of your beauty. You corrupted your wisdom for the sake of splendor. Let's pause here, okay? He says, you corrupted your wisdom for the sake of splendor. Corrupted means that it's tainted, meaning that the thing before it was not tainted, okay? The opposite of corrupted would basically be pure. So he's saying that his wisdom was good. He's actually saying that the wisdom that he had was not a bad thing. That was a good thing. It's a good thing that he had wisdom. It's a good thing that he had riches. It was a good thing that he used his wisdom in order to gain those riches. But the bad thing is when he corrupted it for the sake of his splendor, when he corrupted it because of the love of that thing, which actually goes to what Jesus talked about. And he said the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. So it's kind of crazy like that. Not saying the love of money is the root of all evil. Not saying that having money is evil. He's saying the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. Kind of crazy stuff, okay? I don't know where we got the misconception that money is bad and that we're not allowed to have it. Probably because of how many times God talks about being poor is a good thing. But he's not talking about being poor in a sense of not having any money and not anything like that. Of course, there's things you're going to learn in that lifestyle, awesome stuff, but he's talking about being poor in spirit. And he's talking about when you're poor, it means that you want more. You have a longing for something more. You have a longing for more of God. You have a longing for and a desire for to grow more. You know, he's talking about those specific things. When you're poor, you normally don't want to be poor. Being poor is not normally a good thing. Being poor means that you want something or that you're lacking in something. So in that sense, he's saying that if you are poor, it means you really want to overachieve and really want to grab those things, you know? So kind of crazy stuff there. So the misconception of money is kind of insane, actually. So let's go ahead and talk about that. Okay, last point that I want to make. Okay, if someone is trying to bash on you because you have a dream about being rich and you have a dream about wanting to make a bunch of money in whatever business you're trying to make as a Christian, who cares, okay? They have a wrong conception of what the Bible says about money, all right? But you, obviously, you're watching this video, you made it this far, you already know, okay, in the Bible actually says riches is a good thing. The Bible actually accordances riches with the people of God. And actually, wisdom in order to get those riches is a good thing. But the problem comes when you love those riches and when that is your main goal. Your main goal should never be that. Your main goal should be following what God has planned for you. I'm not saying everyone in the Bible is blessed with riches. I'm not saying that following God is always a byproduct. I'm not saying that riches is always a byproduct of following God. However, most of the time, you can be rich and follow God, and it is a byproduct of being faithful to God's promise for you. So kind of crazy stuff there, all right? Don't let little Johnny across the street say, hey, being rich and being a Christian is not a good thing. Okay, no, you're chilling, all right? Go make that money, okay? Go do what you want for that specific sense, all right? Just make sure to keep God at the center of everything that you're doing in order to make that money. Remember to keep on being faithful to God when you're doing that, okay? Kind of crazy stuff, pretty awesome stuff, all right? As long as you're keeping that at the beginning, it's a blessing from God. And no sorrow comes with it. You don't have to be sad that you have that money. You can use that money in order to continue endeavoring for Christ. Pretty awesome stuff. Okay, so that's gonna go ahead and end it off here. I'm really passionate about that specific topic because it's just like, it feels like so many people have bashed the fact that you're not allowed to make money as a Christian. You have to be poor as a Christian, but that's not true. And then, you know what the funniest part about it is, it's always the rich pastors that say, you're not supposed to make money. You know, it's always so funny about it. Really funny stuff. Anyways, but yes, being rich, not a bad thing. Wanting to be rich, not a bad thing, okay? Loving the money is a bad thing. Don't love the money. All right, now then, thank you guys very much for watching this video. If you guys did enjoy it, please make sure to leave a like. If this video blessed you, please make sure to go ahead and watch some more. We have more videos here, and you guys can subscribe to the channel right here. Thank you very much for your support. If you guys want to see more, I will be posting more on the daily. And with that, yeah, stay strong, fly on, Falcon Force, and I'll catch you guys in the next one, okay? Peace out.